Welcome back to Miss Watkins' World. Today is another math lesson. It's time for another math lesson. Time for another math lesson. Now, we are still working on telling time. But today, we are working on telling time to the half hour, focusing on using the phrase half past. What does that mean? Where does the hour hand need to be when we're saying half past? Where does the minute hand need to be when we're telling time and we're going to say it's half past an hour? We also are going to look at figuring out how to read the clock, saying half past, and how to write it. So we're going to look at some analog clocks that show half past a certain hour, and I'm going to show you how to write that time on a digital clock. Also going to be able to look at a digital clock and read the time on a digital clock and then draw those hands on an analog clock. So get your brains ready and stay tuned. So really quickly before we begin, we need to review what the hands of the clock are. These two things are the hands on the clock. They tell us the minute and the hour. Last time we learned that the short hand is the hour hand. The short hand is the hour hand. Today, we're looking at the minute hand. Do you notice anything different about the minute hand? Now, I know that the first thing you're going to probably say is that the minute hand on my clock is blue. But on most clocks, the hands are not different colors. Usually, both hands are black. So, you have to look at other details about the hands to be able to tell which one is which. The minute hand is longer than the hour hand. It's so long that it reaches past the number for the hour all the way down to the numbers for the minutes. This helps us because it makes it easier for us to read an analog clock, and it makes it easier to see which small number the minute hand is pointing to. I want you to remember that the minute hand is the long hand. So I want you to stand up. Stand up, stand up. Okay, get your hands ready. Are your hands empty? Good. The short hand is the hour hand. The short hand is the hour hand. But the minute hand is the long hand. So take your hands and pull them out long. And say it slowly, long. The minute hand is the long hand. So I want you to remember that when you're trying to read a clock. You know that when you see the short hand, it's the hour hand. So that's the hand that tells us the hour. But the long hand is the minute hand. So today we're focusing on using the phrase half past. And I know you're probably thinking, Miss Watkins, what does half past mean? Half past just means half of the hour has passed. See, on a clock, the hands move together. Every clock has gears on the back, and those gears help the hands move together. So both the hour hand and the minute hand all day long are constantly going around and around and around the clock. Every time a full hour has passed, we start a new hour. Whenever the minute hand is pointing at the 12, that tells us that a new hour has started. So, to show that it's a new hour, when we are telling time, we say o'clock. Everyone say o'clock. So if you're reading this clock, shorthand is the hour hand. It's pointing at the number 3. The minute hand is the long hand and is pointing at the 12. We know that this clock shows 3 o'clock. Now, you have to say o'clock when you're saying it. Otherwise, people won't know what you're talking about. If someone asked you and you just said 3, they might reach out their hand and expect you to give them $3. You ready to give me $3? No. So make sure when you're telling time, you say 3 o'clock when it's pointing at the 12. This lets us know that a new hour has started. The hour is the 3rd hour, or 3. Whenever you're using the phrase half past, it just means that half of the hour has passed already. Half of it is gone. So when the minute hand goes halfway around the clock, that means it's halfway past that hour being finished. It was the 3rd hour. Our minute hand went from the 12 all the way to the 6. That's halfway around the clock's face. Remember, the clock's face is this round part. If we split it in half, like this, the 6 shows that it's halfway around the clock. That is why we say half past. Now let's look at the hour hand. The hour hand is right here. The short hand is the hour hand. The long hand is the minute hand, okay? So the hour hand is pointing halfway between the numbers 3 and 4. So the hour hand is going from the 3rd hour to the 4th hour. But right now, it's just halfway in between. Sometimes my friends will get confused when they see the hour hand pointing in between 2 numbers. But will we be tricked? No way. We're way too smart for that. So we know that the 3rd hour started. The hour was 3. Has the hour hand reached the 4 yet? No, it has not. So we tell that number 4, it's not your turn. Tell it again. Ready? Tell it 4. It's not your turn. 4 has waited its turn because the hour is still 3. We have not reached the number 4 yet. When it is half past 3, it's halfway past the 3 on its way to the number 4. The minute hand is also halfway past that whole hour and it's pointing straight down at the number 6. This time on this clock shows half past 3. Now, the minute hand has gone the other half of the way around the clock. So a new hour has started. A new hour has begun. This is 4 o'clock. But the clock will keep moving throughout the day, and eventually the minute hand will make it halfway around the clock again. This is half past 4 because it's halfway past the hour 4. The hour hand is in the middle of the 4 and the 5. Number 5, it's not your turn. It's the 4th hour. And we're halfway around the clock. So the minute hand needs to be pointing at number 6. So remember, when the minute hand is pointing down at the number 6, that's half past or halfway around the clock. But when that minute hand reaches back up to the 12, voila, that starts a new hour. So over and over all day long, new hours start. There are 24 hours in a day, so this happens 24 times a day. Woo, that's a lot. All right, friends, so now what we're going to do is we're going to look at some analog clocks. We will read the time on the analog clock, and then I'm going to write that time on this digital clock I have right here. And this is how we're going to remember or learn how to match an analog and digital clock. Okay, so remember that we are working on half past and telling time using the phrases half past. The first clock, this analog clock, shows I see that the hour hand is halfway between the 5 and the 6. So I know that the hour is 5 because it has not reached the 6 yet. 6, it's not your turn. So I'm going to put the number 5 on my digital clock for the hour. The hour is 5. Now, whenever you are writing the time, you need to put these colons here because this is what separates the hour number from the minute number. So the hour is 5. I'm also looking at this analog clock and I see that my minute hand is pointing to the 6. We know that when the minute hand is pointing to the 6, it is halfway around the clock. If I'm reading the time on this clock, I'll say that this clock shows 5:30. Remember from the last time we talked about time, I told you that half an hour is 30 minutes. So any time that you read a clock and you say 5:30, the minute is 30. Half past 5 is the same thing as 5:30. Let's try another one. This time, you're going to help me. I want you to look at the analog clock and tell me what time it is. But remember to say it using the phrase half past. What time is it? Good job. It is 7:30. That means that the hour is 7. If it's 7:30, that means the minutes are 30. It is 7:30. 7:30 is the same thing as 7:30. Let's try it the other way around. Now we're going to look at some digital clocks that have the times already. We're going to read the digital clock together using the phrase half past, and we are going to draw the arms on the clocks so that the digital clock and the analog clock match. Let's look at this digital clock. This clock shows that it is 9:30. 9:30 is the same as 9:30. So we know that the hour is 9. But should our hour hand be pointing at the number 9? No, it should not. It should be halfway between the 9 and the 10 because it's halfway past the hour 9. Remember, the short hand is the hour hand. So I'm going to make sure one of my hands, my hour hand, is short and the minute hand is long. It's 9:30. So my hour hand needs to be pointing halfway between the 9 and the 10. And now I'm going to draw my minute hand. Now we know that when it's half past, that means that the minute hand has gone halfway around the clock. So I need to draw my long hand pointed at the number that shows halfway around the clock. What number is that? That's the number 6. This clock shows 9:30 or 9:30. Let's do another one. Look at this digital clock. What time is it? Remember to use the phrase half past. Good job. It is 6:30 or 6:30. Those two are the same thing. Now we need to draw the hands on the clock. We know that the hour is 6, but it's 6:30. So the arrow should not be drawn to the number 6. It needs to be halfway between the number 6 and the number 7. And because it's 6:30, that means that the minute hand, the long hand, has to be pointed at the number that's halfway around the clock. So it needs to be pointed at the number 6. This clock shows 6:30 or 6:30, just like the digital clock. You can do plenty of activities to match digital clocks and analog clocks together, and that will help you practice that skill. For any teachers out there who are looking for additional activities for your students, look down in the description box because I put a link on there, a free seesaw activity for your students to practice this skill. And to all my friends out there in YouTube land, you worked so hard today, and I'm so proud of you. Kiss your brain. I'm brilliant. Yes, you are. Thank you for joining me today. I'll see you next time. Don't forget to like this video, thumbs up this video, and subscribe. See you next time. We will be learning about counting money. Bye, guys.